Ever met someone once and remembered them for years, but forgot their name within seconds? You're not alone, and today's test will show just how much you rely on your memory.
I can relate to that. Hi, I'm Emma, and I'll be answering a full Band 8 IELTS speaking test with Jack today.
And I'm Jack Turner, your examiner. In this episode, you'll learn how to tackle questions about names, faces, and memory, and pick up advanced vocabulary along the way.
We'll look at how to answer Part 1, questions smoothly, develop ideas for a 2-minute talk, and discuss memory in the modern world.
Plus, we'll review key expressions and share a quick tip to boost your IELTS speaking score. Ready for some real-life memory tests? Let's get started. IELTS Speaking Test Simulation. Topic: names, faces, memory, and remembering people. Examiner: Jack Turner. Candidate: Emma.
Great, I'm ready.
Good morning. My name is Jack Turner. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Of course. My name is Emma Collins.
Thank you, Emma. Let's talk about names and memory. Are you good at remembering people's names?
I'd say I'm fairly good at it, but it depends on the situation. If I meet several people at once, the names can go in one ear and out the other. But if I have a proper conversation with someone, I usually remember their name quite easily.
Do you find it easier to remember names or faces?
Definitely faces. I can sometimes recognize someone immediately, but have absolutely no idea what their name is. It's a bit awkward, actually, especially when they clearly remember me.
What do you do when you forget someone's name?
Usually, I just admit it politely rather than pretending. I might say, "I'm sorry, could you remind me of your name?" I think that's much better than spending the whole conversation trying to avoid saying it.
Did you have a good memory when you were a child?
Yes, especially for things I was interested in. I could remember song lyrics, stories, and tiny details from films. On the other hand, I was hopeless at remembering where I'd left my school things.
Do you think technology has changed the way people use their memory?
Absolutely. We rely on our phones for phone numbers, appointments, birthdays, directions, you name it. It's convenient, but I think it also means we don't exercise our memory as much as people used to.
Nice use of vocabulary. Now, I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. You'll have 1 minute to prepare and you can make some notes if you wish. Describe a person you met once but still remember clearly. You should say who the person was. Where you met them is what you talked about, and explain why you still remember this person.
All right.
Okay, Emma, you can start speaking now.
I'm going to talk about a woman I met during a train journey about 2 years ago. I was traveling home after visiting a friend, and the train was extremely crowded. I ended up sitting opposite an elderly woman who started chatting to me after we were delayed for nearly an hour. At first, it was just small talk about the journey and the weather, but somehow the conversation became much more interesting. She told me that she had worked as a nurse for more than 40 years and had lived in several different countries. What really stuck with me was her attitude towards life. She said that people often spend too much time worrying about making the perfect decision, when in reality, most decisions can be changed later. I remember thinking, actually, that's such a simple idea, but it made a lot of sense. She was also incredibly easy to talk to. She didn't dominate the conversation. She genuinely listened and asked thoughtful questions. By the time we arrived, it felt as though the journey had gone surprisingly quickly. I never saw her again, and I can't even remember her full name now, which is slightly ironic considering today's topic. But I remember her face, her voice, and especially that piece of advice. I think some people are memorable not because you know them for a long time, but because they say something at exactly the right moment. Would you like me to explain a little more about why her advice stayed with me?
That won't be necessary, thank you. That's a strong example. Let's discuss memory in a more general way. Why do some people seem much more memorable than others?
I think personality plays a huge role. People who are expressive, confident, or genuinely interested in others tend to leave a stronger impression. Having said that, sometimes someone becomes memorable because of the circumstances in which you meet them. If you meet a person during an important moment in your life, you may associate them with that event for years.
Do you think remembering names is an important social skill?
Yes, definitely. Using someone's name can make an interaction feel more personal. It shows that you are paying attention. In professional situations, it can also help build rapport. Of course, forgetting a name isn't a disaster, but remembering it can create a surprisingly positive impression.
Why do people often remember emotional experiences more clearly?
I suppose emotions make events feel more significant. If something makes us extremely happy, frightened, embarrassed, or excited, our brains seem to treat it as important information. Ordinary days can blur together, whereas emotionally intense moments tend to stick in our minds.
Do you think people rely too heavily on technology to remember information?
To some extent, yes. There's no real need to memorize dozens of phone numbers anymore because our devices do it for us. The same applies to directions and appointments. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that's entirely negative. It may simply allow us to use our mental energy for other things.
Good point. How might technology affect human memory in the future?
I think we'll probably outsource even more of our memory to digital tools. Artificial intelligence might remind us not only about appointments, but also about previous conversations, people we've met, or promises we've made. The advantage is obvious, but the downside is that people could become less confident in their own ability to remember things independently.
Should schools teach students techniques for improving their memory?
Yes, but I think the focus should be on understanding rather than simply memorizing facts. Techniques like making associations, explaining ideas in your own words, or reviewing information at intervals can be extremely useful. Those skills would help students long after an exam is over.
Excellent. That is the end of the speaking test. Let's review a few useful expressions from today's test. Our first phrase is go in one ear and out the other. Emma, what does that mean?
It means you hear something but forget it almost immediately. For example, when I'm tired, people's names sometimes go in one ear and out the other.
Good. Now repeat. Leave a strong impression.
If someone leaves a strong impression, you remember them because something about them affects or interests you. For example, her confidence left a strong impression on me.
Our next expression is stick in your mind.
That means something remains in your memory for a long time. You could say, the advice really stuck in my mind.
And finally, build rapport.
To build rapport means to develop a comfortable and positive relationship with someone. It's especially useful when talking about work, interviews, customers, or meeting new people.
When you answer an IELTS question, don't stop after your first idea. Try the simple pattern answer plus reason plus example. Even one extra sentence explaining why can make your response sound more fluent and developed.
So instead of saying, I'm good at remembering faces, I could add because I tend to notice distinctive features and I can often recognize someone years after meeting them.
Exactly. Develop your answer naturally rather than trying to make it unnecessarily complicated.